All right, let's step inside Athena's temple. We're about to explore this really powerful, poetic reinterpretation of a classic myth. And this isn't just some story somebody made up, no. This feels like we're hearing a direct plea taken right from the source. It details a horrible violation, a divine judgment, and then this absolutely terrifying transformation. And the narrative just kicks off right away with this incredibly forceful declaration. There's no hesitation, no warming up to it. It's just bam, a statement of innocence, a line drawn in the sand from the very first word. And then it continues, building this wall of defense, word by word. The speaker is just laying out the facts, making it absolutely crystal clear. This was not an invitation. This was an intrusion. And this line, wow, this is where you really get the core of the tragedy. Because this wasn't just any old room, right? This was a sacred temple. And she wasn't just some random person, she was a devotee, someone who did her duty, kept the place clean, only to have the sanctity of her entire faith just shattered. So all of that sets the stage for the first part of what we're breaking down here, the plea. This is that raw confrontation after everything has happened. You've got a mortal priestess standing before her goddess, basically just trying to be heard, to be understood. I mean, she says it so plainly. I believed silence would protect me. Just think about that for a second. Her faith wasn't just in the goddess. It was in the act of being pious itself. The idea that if she was just quiet, devout, almost invisible, she'd be safe. But as we're about to see, she was so wrong. And then we get the divine response, and honestly, it is absolutely chilling. It's a complete dismissal of everything she just said. And what's so wild is the logic here. The gods don't care who started the fire. They only care who let it burn. So it's not about cause. It's all about consequence. Justice? Totally irrelevant. All that matters is that chaos happened in a sacred place, and well, someone's got to take the fall. And that brings us right to the central conflict of this whole thing. It's this massive clash. The speaker is demanding justice, but what she gets back is something else entirely. It's this cold, almost corporate rationale for just maintaining the system. I mean, her request is so simple, so direct. It's what any of us would think is fair, right? Then punish him. Let the sea swallow his name. She just wants the person who did this to her to face the consequences. Plain and simple. She's asking for justice. And this really lays out the two opposing worldviews side by side. On one hand, you've got the human plea for justice. Punish him. But on the other, you have this divine principle of order. And the goddess just lays it out. Justice is not what survives. Order is. For the gods, it's all about keeping the structure of power intact, no matter who gets crushed in the process. Okay, so if justice is completely off the table, what's the sentence going to be? Well, this next part gets into the punishment. And it's a punishment designed not to make things right, but just to impose that brutal, unfeeling sense of order. And the sentence, man, it's like a systematic dismantling of her entire humanity. First, I will remove you from desire. And this isn't just about looks. It's about taking her out of the entire ecosystem of human connection, to never be touched again, never claimed. And then, in this just unbelievably cruel twist of logic, never ruined. It's basically making her a permanent outcast. And this is where she just nails the profound tragedy of her fate. All she ever wanted was to be safe. That quiet invisibility she thought her devotion would buy her. She wanted to be unseen.
But instead, she's handed a punishment that is total erasure from the world she knew.
Okay, but this is where the whole narrative takes a massive turn. This is the moment where the curse gets, well, it gets reframed. It becomes this new, unexpected, and absolutely terrifying kind of power. The goddess actually corrects her. You will not be erased. You will be remembered and feared. And that is such a crucial distinction, right? Erasure is just nothing, oblivion. But being remembered and feared, that's a kind of power, a monstrous and lonely power, for sure, but it is power. And with that one line, you can just feel the transformation happen. The pleading victim, gone. And in her place is this being who just accepts her new reality and basically throws down a challenge to the world that condemned her. It's this moment of pure, chilling defiance. All right, now the source material does something really interesting. It pivots. We go from a curse born of injustice to a blessing that feels like its own kind of heavy burden. We're moving away from Medusa's story to another one that asks a really fundamental question. What's the real price of getting the gods' attention, whether it's a curse or a blessing? And this question just drops us right into the middle of that conflict. Why are you crying? Suddenly, we're in this really intimate, sorrowful moment, and we're forced to ask ourselves, wait, what kind of blessing makes someone cry? So, in this second monologue, we have someone trying to comfort another person who's been chosen. They're listing all the supposed good things, you know? You have a divine purpose. Our family's name is lifted. The speaker keeps calling it a blessing, but the fact that they have to try so hard to sell it, it just reveals the huge personal cost bubbling right under the surface. And this is the heartbreaking question right at the center of it all. It basically challenges the entire idea of divine favor. It's asking, what good is all this honor? What good is purpose if it costs you the people you love? It's a question that just hangs there in the air with no easy answer. And after that heavy question, the text it shifts. It moves into this final, really haunting sequence of images. Maybe this is the aftermath of a blessing like that. The pace slows way down, and we just get this stark image of pure vulnerability and endurance. You get this feeling of someone carrying something. Maybe it's names, maybe memories, sorrows. We don't know for sure. But whatever it is, it's a burden. Heavy, silent, and carried all alone, like hidden stones in your pocket. And then this line, what a powerful symbol. Not some big raging fire, but a single small flame. It says so much, right? Solitude, fragility, but also persistence. A single flame is all it takes to hold back the darkness. It's just this quiet, profound statement of resilience. And this is the final, definitive statement. Think about it. We started this whole journey with a devout priestess praying in a temple. And we end here with someone who has clearly learned that salvation doesn't come from the gods. There's no more prayer. There's just the quiet, stubborn determination to keep going. And so that's where the story leaves us. It's a narrative that goes way beyond just injustice. It's about what can rise from the ashes. It's about the brutal, painful birth of a totally new kind of power, one forged in fear and memory. And it forces us to ask, when justice is denied, what is the cost of survival, and what new power is born from being remembered and feared?